Cash offers in real estate. Is cash really king? Hi, I'm Michele Replogle, Coldwell Banker Realty. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about cash because I had this huge epiphany about the cash buyers that I work with and then the sellers that I also work with that receive the cash offers. So there's three things to consider in my point of view. Now keep in mind all my videos are from what I see in my local market. So if you're watching this and you live like back east and there's tons of houses for sale and cash investors are just blowing through and buying lots of houses, that's not here. Not to say that we don't have cash investors here. I'm just saying we don't have huge blocks where cash investors come in by, neighborhoods. Yet we still have cash here. We are next to an area that has a lot of wealth due to the fact that they are some of the biggest tech companies in the world. And also we're starting to see some of that kind of boomer money trickle in where some family is helping their kids get going. And really, honestly, there's just cash around. People have cash. So that's my first point is cash is always around. So I've been in the business a while and I have had buyers over time always say to me, well, I don't want to get beat out by cash buyers. I know that there's cash buyers out there. You know what? There's always cash buyers out there. And it doesn't matter the market. And I think sometimes when people think the market's really good, there's more of them, or when the market's bad, there's more of them, or it really doesn't make any difference. There's always a certain amount of cash buyers out there. So yeah, they're out there, but there are ways as a buyer that you can get around cash buyers. It's really not too terribly difficult. Some houses you'll fall in love with and there's 10 cash buyers. Okay, maybe you won't get that one if you have a loan. But it's just something to think about, that they're not out there just, kind of scorching the earth. There are plenty of opportunities if you're getting a mortgage. But in my opinion, cash does need the right market to succeed. And I would say we are in that market now. Now, why do I say that? Well, credit has gotten tighter. And what does credit getting tighter mean? It means not that buyers aren't eligible for credit or that they won't qualify for the loan, or even that the lender's standards have gotten harder to get a loan. No, just the fact that getting a loan and that it costs more, the fees and the interest rates, those are right now what is tightening credit. So sometimes banks pull back, and that would be tightening credit. Like if they've decided that, they want your credit scores to be at this number. They want your employment history to be 2 instead of 3 years, or 3 instead of 2 years. Those are lender guidelines, and sometimes those standards change. That tightens credit as well. So the credit tightening period that we're in right now would be the interest rates, right? So that's where cash can really kind of come in and beat a buyer, because they're going to take away all that worry of not so much the appraisal. Appraisals are still doing just fine, but that whole lending scenario. So just one of my deals this summer, we had a buyer who was squeezing into a property. Really, he was just kind of getting in there really kind of by the skin of his nose. And then they weren't quite done, and some of the stuff was changing in the lending world, and it got kind of tight for him. And my seller had a lot of patience and understood that this buyer, to get this house, is probably going to have to work a little harder. It's not as easy when you have a cash buyer, right? Because they just like, well, we'll take it. We want to make sure that, the house is in good shape. We're going to do our due diligence on the property, but otherwise, we're good, and we're going to move along. That's where it gets tough. And since we're moving into that credit tightening period, cash buyers on the sidelines who have thought, the market was too high, and they're thinking, oh, it's lower, I want to get in now. Well, actually, I would tell you, if you're a cash buyer, you want to be in the market when the interest rates are high. Not just that the prices are going down, because we haven't seen a huge shift in prices here in Santa Cruz, but we've seen the interest rates go up and less offers, and less flurries. We don't have crowds, storming through the open houses, but we still have a lot of buyer interest. So That said, right now, a cash offer might be hard to beat because a seller and the seller's agent might be, lending is tightening up. Maybe we want to talk to that cash offer and see if we can come to term with that one. But I want to warn you, point number 3. So we had cash is always around. Cash really needs the right market to succeed, but also cash buyers don't always win. And I have sold properties on both sides. I always say I like to sell on both sides so I can help buyers and sellers wrap their head around what's happening on the other side that they're working. So if they're a buyer, how the seller works. If they're a seller, how the buyer works. Cash offers do stuff sometimes. I have had the benefit of working with some amazing cash buyers this year, but I have had cash investors that have done some crazy things. They have written offers and then, oh, just give me one more day. Just give me one more day. Just give me one more day. 8 days later, they were offering more. They were cash. The seller really wanted to hang in with them. And I'm not kidding. Literally 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, they said, oh, no, we're out. After, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Because they didn't really have the whole loan appraisal process to kind of keep them just kind of checking along and understand what they're going to pay each month and how they're going to, budget all that and everything. That wad of cash is going to leave their bank account and they're not okay with it. So they dance around until, somebody just says uncle and kind of, chucks the whole deal. That one did win and dragged us around, but that experience taught me to really counsel my sellers and say, be really careful. The signals I've seen on this cash buyer is I don't think they're committed. I don't think they really like your property. I'm not even sure they want to live in this area. They may be an investors. I have to tell you, I don't work with a lot of them because I feel that a lot of times they're very disingenuous. They want to get the house for the lowest possible price. They want everything done for them. And then they want to be able to back out at the last minute if they change their mind after they've negotiated down a very aggressive price. So I actually will sometimes say to a seller, look, I know you're going to have to wait a little bit more for your money, but you're still getting offered this much, actually sometimes more on the other offer. But I think they're really committed, and I think it's really gonna work for you in the long run. That advice has really paid off. Now, when I work with cash buyers, I always let them know, just because you're low on your price and your cash, let me back that up. I wish I could rewind it. Just because you're a cash offer does not mean you can go in low. Because if it's a property that's, gotten some activity, the seller might go, well, I can just go with these other people that I'm waiting for to come in, or, there's other things I can do, or I can take it off and rent it. That's the other thing you got to understand, cash buyers. Our rental market is on fire. Oh, I'm not supposed to say fire. I forgot YouTube doesn't like that. It's really hot. So what that means is that the seller, especially if it's an investment property or even if they're moving away, they will always consider if they could just rent it out and then come back on in a better market. So cash buyers don't always win. Buyers who have a mortgage understand they don't always win. But all of you, whoever you are, cash mortgage, gold bullions, however you're going to pay, you got to show some commitment to the property. You got to show that, you've read the disclosures, you've actually been to the property. That always helps. Sometimes I can tell when the buyer hasn't even been to the property. Now, I've represented people who haven't been to the property, but they've been on plenty of FaceTimes. They've seen videos. We've had many discussions. We've read through the disclosures together. I mean, I feel like they know the house when they get there really well. Anyway, I digress. Just so you know, cash isn't always king to the seller or to the seller's agent. But if you are cash, this could be your market as the lending environment gets tighter because of these interest rates. So I hope that made sense to you. And keep in mind, this is always only just about Santa Cruz and how we are looking at all the different offers right here in the county of this dear little hubbub I call Santa Cruz. Oh wait, a lot of people call. Subscribe to my channel. I'd love to hear from you if you have any comments and any questions, or you want to go and take a look at something and bring your checkbook or your pot of gold. I'm just kidding. I would love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.